There is a sentence that stops an argument in about 2 seconds. Most people who own a Bible have read it and never once used it. It is 6 words long. A soft answer turneth away wrath. That is one of 21, and by the end of this, you will know which one is yours. Retha Bramlett had that verse underlined in her own hand. 50 years of Sundays. Then came a Thursday evening in Kosciuszko, Mississippi. Her husband across the counter, her face going hot. The exact right cutting reply already loaded and waiting. She said, "No, I forgot," instead, and watched a 4-minute fight simply not occur. 21 sentences in the book of Proverbs, each one built for a specific problem you will run into this week. The visit that will not end. The gossip that keeps finding a new mouth. The person across from you carrying something and not saying it. The night your body is in bed and your head is not. 1 line each. Use one tonight, and you feel it before you fall asleep. But stay to the end. The 21st one will not fix anything. It explains why the other 20 keep needing to be used again. And there is a reason 1 line was enough for Retha, standing there with nothing prepared. Proverbs was never written to be read the way the rest of Scripture is read. Start at the top, follow the story, watch it build. It was written as mashal. That is the old Hebrew word for the kind of saying that stands on its own 2 feet. Not a chapter, not a plot, a single sentence engineered to carry its full weight with nothing before it and nothing after it, which means something nobody teaches in Sunday school. You are allowed to take one. Proverbs was built that way on purpose, so that a woman at her sink at 9 o'clock on a Thursday could reach for exactly 1 line and let the other 20 wait for another day. The first 20 are going to feel like they are fixing 20 separate problems. A sharp word here, a bad night there, a friendship gone quiet somewhere else. Here are the first 5. These leave you before you have made up your mind to let them. Somebody always hears them. The fight that should have stayed small. The one where the other person said something sharp, and for 1 second you had a choice, and the wrong word was already halfway out before you caught it. You saw the front half of this one work in Retha's kitchen. The whole line goes further, and the second half is the part almost nobody quotes. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. Set the 2 halves side by side. It does not say the hard word loses the fight. It says the hard word manufactures one that was not there yet. Try this tonight. The next time your voice wants to rise before your mind has caught up. Drop your volume before you speak, not after. Not a performance of calm, an actual lower register, on purpose, in the half second you have. Watch what the other person's shoulders do. The answer that was accurate and still drew blood. You were right. That was never the problem. The problem was how it landed. There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. Before your next hard truth leaves your mouth, ask one question first, not whether it is true, but whether it is a sword or medicine today. Both are honest. Only one heals. The moment you said everything, all of it, the whole file you had been keeping, unloaded in one conversation, because you finally had the opening. A fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it in till afterwards. Not silence forever, timing. Write it down instead, tonight, before you say it out loud, and read it back tomorrow. Half of what needed saying will still need saying. The other half was never about them. The story about somebody that will not die, no matter how many times you thought it had. It keeps finding a new mouth to live in. Where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. So where there is no talebearer, the strife ceaseth. The test is not whether you started it. The test is whether you fed it. The next time it comes to you, do not pass it forward. Watch how fast it runs out of air. The person across from you who is carrying something and has not said a single word about it, you can see it in how long they take to answer. Heaviness in the heart of man maketh it stoop, but a good word maketh it glad. You do not need the right words. You need any words. Say the plain, small, true thing you are thinking about them, out loud, today, before you talk yourself out of it because it feels too simple to matter. You might be standing in the gap for that person without ever knowing it, and a good word may be the only thing holding that gap closed today. 5 down. Notice something about those 5. Every one of them left through your mouth, and you decided, even if it only took half a second. The next 5 are not like that. The next 5 cost more, because there is another person standing inside every single one of them. The moment somebody needed comfort, and you froze, because you could not find a single sentence that did not sound rehearsed or hollow. Pleasant words are as an honeycomb, sweet to the soul, and health to the bones. Notice the picture Scripture chose. Not a lecture, a honeycomb, something that reaches the soul the same way sweetness reaches the body, without you having to work to take it in. Stop reaching for the perfect sentence. Reach for a true one instead. I don't have the words, but I'm here, has fixed more kitchens than any speech ever has. The conversation you have been putting off, because it is going to be difficult no matter how you open it, and you keep waiting for it to become easy. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. It will not become easy. It can still become kind. Before you open that conversation, decide the one kind thing you will say, no matter how the other person responds, and say it first. The visit that ran long, not once, most weeks. And you have started to notice something in yourself you did not expect to feel towards someone you love. Withdraw thy foot from thy neighbor's house, lest he be weary of thee, and so hate thee. Read that last part again. That is not a warning about a pest at your door. That is a warning about a friendship, given by someone who loved the person enough to tell the truth. Presence has a shape, and even love wears thin against the wrong hour. The test is not how much you visit. It is whether you can feel, before you are told, when it is time to go. The friendship that has gone flat. You still talk. You have just stopped saying anything that costs either of you something. Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. Iron does not sharpen iron by sitting next to it, and it does not do it gently. It takes contact, and contact makes a spark before it makes an edge. A friendship that has never once made you uncomfortable has probably never once made you sharper, either. This week, ask that friend one honest question you have been avoiding, and let them ask you one back. The ache of feeling like nobody is really in your corner, even in a house full of people, even after a lifetime of church. A man that hath friends must shew himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. Notice the order of that verse. It does not start with being chosen. It starts with showing yourself friendly first. Before tonight ends, reach out to the one person you have been waiting to reach out to you. 10 down, and notice where we are standing now. The first 5 left your mouth. The second 5 cost you another person. Now watch what happens. The next 6 do not leave you at all. Nobody around you can see a single one of them happening. Retha did not know it yet, standing at her sink that Thursday, but there was a sound underneath the whole evening that she had stopped hearing months ago. The kitchen faucet had a slow drip, not enough to fix, not enough to ignore completely, just enough to keep going all night long under everything else. Some nights she washed a single dish and never noticed it at all. She would remember that sound later, not yet. These next 6 are like that drip. Nobody in the room can hear them but you, and that is exactly why they are the ones most likely to run for years. The offense that will not leave your head. You have replayed it 11 times since it happened, and it happened 3 weeks ago. The discretion of a man deferreth his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression. Discretion is not the same as forgetting. It is a decision, made on purpose, to stop taking the offense back out to look at it. The next time it surfaces, name it once, then put it down. Glory is in the putting down. Losing your temper over something that, an hour later, was not even worth the energy it cost you. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. A city can be taken by force in an afternoon. A spirit takes a lifetime to rule, one moment at a time. Tonight, the moment you feel it rising, count to 5 before the first word. not as a trick, as a training. The feeling of having no walls left, no filter between what you feel and what comes out. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. A city without walls is not weak because it is small. It is weak because anything can walk in. Rebuild one wall this week, one boundary, one pause, one place you decide in advance you will not go. The moment right before the fall, when you were so certain you were right that you never even checked. When pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly is wisdom. The order in that verse is not an accident. Pride does not arrive holding a warning sign. It arrives feeling exactly like certainty. The same clean, comfortable feeling wisdom gives you, right up until shame shows up behind it, and you find out which one you were standing in. Before your next confident decision, ask one lowly question first. Who would tell me if I were wrong, and have I actually asked them? The days you feel like you have nothing left to give anyone, not money, not time, not even attention. The liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. This is not about what is in your wallet. It is about what leaves your hands. Water something today, a conversation, an hour, a kindness, and watch what comes back to you that has nothing to do with money. The heaviness that sits in your chest for no single reason you can name, just the accumulated weight of a hard season. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. Notice the word the verse actually uses, like a medicine. Not a medicine, a comparison, not a prescription. Scripture is not telling you joy replaces a doctor, and neither is this video. It is telling you that a merry heart works the way medicine works, slowly, faithfully, from the inside. Find one true thing to be glad about today, and let it do its slow work. 16 down, we have gone from what leaves your mouth to what costs another person, to what nobody around you can see at all. The last 4 are the ones nobody says out loud, not because they are shameful, because they are the ones closest to the center. Before we go there, something worth knowing. There is a short companion waiting in the comments right now, called the Watchman's Guide. It was built for exactly this kind of night. You find the one proverb that is yours, and then you want to carry it past tomorrow, instead of losing it by Saturday. It costs nothing. It is already pinned there, waiting on you to go find it. The house that has everything in it except peace. Full table, full schedule, and a coldness underneath all of it that no amount of furniture fixes. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is, than a stalled ox and hatred therewith. A stalled ox was the richest meal a household in that world could set on a table. The whole fattened animal, company coming, everything done right. And Scripture still calls the herbs better, if the love is missing from the feast. It is not against the ox. It is against pretending the table fixes what the 2 people sitting at it never did. Tonight, at whatever meal you share next, put down whatever you are holding on to against the person across from you before you sit down. The herbs do not need to be better. The love does. The waiting that has gone on so long, you have started to brace against hoping at all, because hoping and being disappointed again feels worse than not hoping. Hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. That sickness in your chest is not weakness. It is what Scripture says waiting actually costs. The word is sick, not sensitive, not impatient. God does not scold the ache. He names it correctly, and then he tells you what the other side of it looks like. Not relief, a tree of life, something that keeps bearing fruit long after the waiting ends. You are allowed to name the ache as sickness, instead of pretending it does not hurt while you keep waiting anyway. Lying still at night, with your mind running through everything the day left unfinished. When thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid. Yea, thou shalt lie down, and thy sleep shall be sweet. This is not a method for falling asleep faster, and it is not a cure for the night's sleep will not come no matter what you have set down. It is a promise about what sleep is for. Rest that does not have to be earned by finishing the list first. Notice the order again. Lie down, then the sweetness follows. not the other way around. One item from this list is enough for tonight. Not all 21. Set the rest down before you lie down. Retha knew the drip in the faucet was still going. She had heard it 3 times now without meaning to. There is a version of this problem that lives underneath the other 19. The thing you have gotten very good at covering. So good that most days you forget you are still covering it. He that covereth his sins shall not prosper, but whoso confesseth and forsaketh them shall have mercy. Notice what the verse asks for. Not confession to the room, confession and forsaking, before God, of the one thing you keep smoothing over, instead of setting down. That is not exposure. Exposure is telling everyone. This is telling the one who already knows, and letting him actually take it. His mercies are new every time you stop covering and start confessing. Not new because you earned a fresh start. New because grace was never running low. Here is what 20 items in a row we're quietly building toward, and it is the reason this is not a list of 21 equal things. Every single one of the first 20 is something that comes out of you. A word, a temper, a silence, a covering. 20 different exits. And if you have ever fixed one on a Thursday, only to fix the same thing again on Friday, this is why. You were closing doors one at a time. In a house with one source, feeding every one of them. It sits in the 4th chapter of Proverbs, and it is 1 line long, like all the others. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. That word issues is the one worth slowing down for. In the Old Hebrew, it is totsa'ah, and it does not mean problems. It means outlets, springs, the places where water finds its way out of the ground. Every one of the first 20 items on this list is a totsa'ah, an outlet, a place where something inside you finally reached the surface. The sharp word, the covered sin, the temper, the silence, 20 different springs, and every single one of them fed by the same source. And notice the verb the verse chose, keep. In the Hebrew, natsar, to guard, the way a watchman guards a gate, standing at it on purpose, all night, every night. It is the exact opposite of item 20. Covering hides the source. Guarding tends it. You cannot cover a heart and guard it at the same time. Those two verbs cannot occupy the same hour. One hides the source. The other tends it. On purpose, the way a person checks a fence line before the storm rather than after it. Retha had spent years getting extraordinarily good at the first one, smoothing the room by 9 o'clock every Thursday, without once asking what was still running underneath the floor by 10. And that is not a failure of willpower. Nobody teaches you to guard a spring. Everybody teaches you to mop the kitchen floor. So this is the one. Out of 21, this is the single proverb this whole video was built to hand you. Not one more thing to fix by tomorrow. The one thing everything else was leaking from. You do not need to remember all 20. You need to remember this. The mouth is not the source. The temper is not the source. The heart is the source. And it is worth guarding on purpose. Tonight, before you fall asleep. Retha turned off the tap before bed that night. Not because the drip had ever bothered her. Because for the first time in longer than she could say, she noticed it. And she stood there a moment, hands still on the handle, thinking about how many nights that small sound had been running under everything else in that kitchen. And she had never once asked where it was coming from. She did not fix the faucet that night. That is not what this was ever about. She just finally heard it. 50 years of Sundays had put the line in her hand. It took one Thursday to make her ask where the sharp answer had been coming from all that time. You do not need all 21 tonight. You needed one, and if you are still here, you already know which one it is. The drip was never the trouble with the water. It was only the last place the water had left to go. And the moment you find where it is really coming from, you can stop mopping up after it, one Thursday at a time, for the rest of your life. Take it to the Lord tonight, whichever proverb found you first. The good Lord willing, you will not need to fix the same thing twice.